Buckle up, babes. It's story time. Hey all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to Tea with Bree. You might notice the vibe in here is a little different. It's a little darker. That's because we're getting darker. Honeys, today it's story time. Normally on this channel, we talk about girly goss, we talk about pop culture in a thoughtful and respectful way. But today, no. It has been a week. It's just one of those weeks where I need to laugh, where I'm really feeling the crushing weight of being alive. And again, it's only Tuesday. I can't promise you much in this installment of Tea with Bree, but I can promise you that you're gonna laugh hard. So if you have to pee, go now, honey. Today we're talking about Whole Foods disgrace. We're talking about snakes on planes. We're talking about why I should probably be in jail right now. The stories are divided into parts so you can skip around to whatever sounds best, most interesting. And other than that, let's get cozy. Grab your tea, grab a snack, and join me for a brief moment of humorous respite in the absolute wasteland that is our lived human experience. Part 1. Or the time I came to Whole Foods as a broken woman and left an even more broken woman. So 2 things you need to know about me to contextualize this story. 1, I was very broke at this time. Like, I had barely just gotten a car. A girl was going through it. I'd moved to a new place, like the pockets weren't deep. The next thing you need to know about me is I was very sick. This was a period of time where I got the flu a lot. A girl was just going through it health-wise. So on this particular day that we're setting the scene, I am both sick and broke. Ain't much change, baby girl. When you're sick, sometimes all you want are like a little bit of your favorite comfort foods. You want those things that give you that little extra boost and desire to be alive. Also, I needed medicine. Where can I get both good food and medicine? To me, the only place that came to mind was Whole Foods. It was either Whole Foods or a Walgreens for me, baby girls. No disrespect to Walgreens. And at this time, you know a bitch couldn't afford DoorDash. There was no Instacarting, there was no DoorDashing. I was either driving there of my own power or I wasn't getting there at all. So I am like snotting everywhere. I have 102-degree fever. I'm unwell, but I am determined to get some healthy snacks, to get my medicine, and to get that back in my bed ASAP Rocky. So I drag myself in the car. I look like an absolute member of the ungrateful dead, and I drag myself into the Whole Foods. And what do I see upon entering? I see a sale, baby girls. I see a sale on blueberries. And I thought, is it my lucky day being a broke girl in Whole Foods getting at almost 50% sale on blueberries? Y'all know that's a huge deal. That makes them almost the same price as Safeway. So I'm like, wow, it is a respite in a desert. It is in an oasis. But I drag myself through that produce department and I grab my blueberries. My ponytail's so low, I'm looking like an undead George Washington. And I'm thinking, we're gonna be in, we're gonna be out, this is gonna be easy. So what happens to me a lot is that I trip and fall, not infrequently. This particular day, what I didn't realize in my rush to get out the door and in my haze of 102-degree fever was that my shoe was tied very loosely. So these laces were out, the snakes were out. The snakes were out, okay? And I have my blueberries, in the little plastic carton that they come in, and I take about 3 steps, the shoelace entraps me and I absolutely splay out. I'm talking full Patrick Star starfish in the produce department of the Whole Foods. The sound that it makes is like just wet skin on a gym floor is what I sound like, just an absolute splat. So I'm splayed out in the middle of Whole Foods and I don't even get up for a minute because I'm just like the humiliation, just the pain. Honestly, I might just stay down. But there was this very sweet older woman and she comes to try and help me because what I don't realize is that I've dropped the blueberries when I tripped, and those plastic cartons ain't holding up shit. So I've dropped the carton and now blueberries have absolutely exploded all over Whole Foods. When you drop like the smallest amount of water and you think, oh, it's barely gonna make an indentation, and then you look and it looks like an absolute monsoon has happened where you drop the water. That was my experience with these blueberries. I had blueberries smashed on my face. I had blueberries smashed all over my shirt. I had them smashed all over my knees. They were as far as the eye could see in the Whole Foods produce department, blueberries everywhere. So this lady, she's very nice. She's like helping me pick up all these little individual blueberries, despite the fact that some are deeply smashed and embedded into the floor. and put them back in my little plastic carton. And at that point, I just thanked her so much. I got up on my hands and knees. I'm just crawling around Whole Foods. What I don't realize is as I'm crawling to pick up the blueberries, I'm also like smashing more blueberries into the floor. People are looking at me. It's like a car wreck. You know, it's like they want to look away, but they can't, but they also don't really want to help or engage. I do what I can. So I finally get all the blueberries back in the crate, in their little carton. And I'm like, well, you know what? They're on sale anyway. So I'll just grab another carton because it's almost like if they weren't on sale, I'm just paying for the one. And I thought I'll still pay for the ones that I dropped because honestly, I don't know supermarket rules. I just figured I dropped it. You break it, you buy it, right? That's what they always say. And I figure Whole Foods, you know, they're not just gonna let me get away with this. So I'm like, I'll pay for the carton I just spilled and I'll pay for a new carton. So I go and grab a new carton. I'm like, okay, let's do this. I'll grab the blueberries, I'll go get the medicine. No, I will not, because I take 3 steps away from the original scene of the crime. And a bitch, in all the turmoil of cleaning up the blueberries, has forgotten that a bitch's shoelaces are completely untied. And I eat shit again, but this time even more aggressively, and I am splayed out full Patrick Star in the Whole Foods produce department once again for the second time in about, girls, 60 seconds. And this time, the old lady who had helped me before was still in the produce department. Baby girl just picked up an onion. But even she looked at me and she just pushed her cart away at this point. She was like, there's nothing I can do here. There's truly nothing I can do here. I look around and the entire floor of Whole Foods, it just looks like a bloody blueberry massacre. I have once again spilled the entire carton of blueberries in my fall. I have landed on half of them. Some are rolling away into the self-checkout. It was humiliating to a degree that I don't think I ever win that Whole Foods again. I moved. I literally moved, and maybe one of the subconscious reasons that I did move was to get away from that Whole Foods and that entire situation and that trauma. Y'all, when you're on your hands and knees picking up blueberries at a Whole Foods twice in one day, that is just a lot. It takes even longer the second time. My face is so red. 1, because I have a fever. 2, because I'm humiliated beyond my wildest dreams. I finally get all the blueberries back in their cartons. I'm like, okay, now I'll pay for 2 floor cartons of blueberries. What is my life? And in my absolute distress, I just go to the checkout. I check out with my 2 cartons of blueberries and I just leave the store. I have no snacks. I have no medicine. All I have is a deep-seated embarrassment and desire to never return to this Whole Foods again for the rest of my life, which is exactly what I did. So my advice on this one is don't go to Whole Foods as a broke bitch. It's not your place. Part 2, also known as childhood trauma on a carnival cruise. Okay, so for this story, I doubt anyone is going to be able to relate specifically, but I would love to know if this has also happened to your dad. So we weren't like a cruise family, but cruises were pretty cost-effective ways to go on vacation, and my grandma, for her birthday, like really wanted to go on a cruise. I was probably 12, I think, at the time. We purchased this like carnival cruise trip and we're all gonna go. My grandma's gonna go, everyone's gonna go. So this particular day, my grandma, my mom, my dad, my brother, we're all sitting in that like roof of the cruise ship where the pool is and like where there's tons of people are drinking, they're swimming, they're having fun, tanning, whatever. There's a lot of people out here. Okay, what we didn't know, to our obvious demise soon to be foretold, is that today was a special day on the Carnival cruise deck. Today was the day that they were going to have the hairy chest contest. I assumed when they announced this on the deck that it meant people had already signed up for this and we were going to see some kind of very strange show, because there's a lot of kids everywhere up on the deck. It's a cruise, like, obviously. What we didn't know is that they were going to pick people in the moment to be in the hairy chest contest. And my father, you could say, has a hairy chest. So they're like picking people from the audience. And I'm looking at my brother and I'm like, Dad has a pretty hairy chest, like, but he would never do something like this. So I'm like, he is like a very more stoic, like not a person who's volunteering for this kind of stuff at all. But my grandma, mind you, it is her birthday. Grandma is stoked on this idea. My little Irish Catholic grandma is like pushing my dad out of his seat. Like you can do this. Like, you have a hairy chest. Go up there. And sure enough, those announcers see that my grandma's basically dragging my dad out of his seat and they're like, you have a hairy chest, get up here. So for whatever reason, the planets align. Mercury goes into retrograde. The stocks fall and then rise. And my dad, my father, a of 12 years says, yes, I will do a hairy chest contest in front of my children and my mother and my wife. So I remember, akin to the Whole Foods experience, feeling like we were in the car and you know it's about to go off a cliff, right? But there's not much you can do to stop it at this point. Like, the brakes have given out. You are in this car, you're going off that cliff, and all you can do is sit there and watch in horror as your own life flashes before your eyes. Because the first thing they ask these hairy chest men to do is to take their shirts off. And a woman on stage has to like run her hands through everyone's chest hair. Traumatic. Truly traumatic. That was like the first round. I was like, oh God, no. The second round is a little more interesting. So basically each round, they determine who makes it to the next round by whoever gets the loudest amount of screaming and yelling from the crowd. So my dad is getting like a decent amount because his chest, again, like I said, he's an Italian guy, like he's pretty hairy. He makes it through the first round with flying colors. The next round is they have to fight a snake because it's like a hairy chest contest. So I think they're hearkening all these men to like Tarzan or something. That's like the vibe. It's like a Tarzan vibe. So they want them to like fight a snake like if they were Tarzan in the jungle. Cue my absolute soul and spirit exiting my body as I watch my dad pretend to wrestle a towel shaped like a snake onto the ground and put it in a headlock to the cheers of an increasingly more traumatized crowd. Meanwhile, my grandma, sweet little Irish grandma, is just miming like, bite it, Alan, bite it. She's like clutching as if she too is fighting the snake. Suddenly I just realized then, she doesn't really know what's going on here. But I'm excited that she is this excited for my father to kill a fake snake. So he makes it through the next round, all right? The next round, as if this story isn't bad enough, is for my father in front of his two children, one being 12, one being 9, his mother, his wife, has to take a sexy shower in front of everyone on the Carnival cruise ship deck. Who designed this contest? These people were wilding out on a family cruise. We're having hairy-chested men, fathers take sexy showers. Where was the thought process here? So my dad gets in that shower, and at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you what happened because I blacked out. If you think I'm watching this process, I absolutely am not. Trauma. Somehow, my dad makes it through the sexy shower round, and he's now like in the final round. It's just him and this guy that in my memory, I remember everyone chanting Attila. I think they were like, Attila, Attila. Like, Attila had a lot of friends and family there. Attila was clearly not on a children, mother, birthday kind of cruise. He was there with his friends. They were doing like a spring break type of thing, maybe. So I'm kind of like, oh my God, not only is my dad taking a sexy shower, but he's also about to have done all this for nothing because he's about to lose to a bald man named Attila. This man had a very hairy chest, I'm not gonna lie, from my memory. The next thing they have to do is release like a guttural Tarzan scream. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple things you don't want to hear on the deck of a Carnival cruise ship. It's your father embodying the animated character of Tarzan to beat a bald man named Attila. You don't need that in your life. Sadly to say, my father loses to Attila, so it was all for nothing. Grandmother is extremely disappointed in him, and we think, oh God, that was bad, but it's over now. Like, it's truly over. However, I start to feel pretty sick later that day. I'm emotionally sick, obviously, but then I start to feel a bit physically ill. I think it's just being on a ship for such a long time, feeling a little seasick. So I get in the bed, I'm in the cabin, the TV's on, and it's just playing like the weather, the ports that we're going to, blah, blah, blah. But then the TV cuts out. And what does it flash to? The hairy chest contest. And I now realize that every single person in this ship is just getting broadcast this hairy chest contest. And that shit plays on loop, I swear to God, for the rest of the cruise. I look at a TV to my right, I look at a TV to my left, and there's my dad taking a sexy shower and fighting a snake while my grandma screams, bite him, bite him. And that, my friends, is why I haven't been on a cruise ship since. Part 3, or the time I should have been thrown into jail and never, ever released. Okay, so this story takes place during the early days of COVID. I'm talking OG, back when I got COVID before it was so cool, okay? So once I had COVID, I got sick for a really long time, and when I felt better, I was kind of like, immunities, baby, let's go. I was like, I am ready to be out. I'm ready to be about. I'm ready to date and get back on the absolute swamp trenches that are dating apps. So I get back on, I'm chatting with people, and I find a nice looking man who's also had COVID. And I'm thinking, this is a match made in pandemic heaven, baby girl. Let us spread our immunities out to the world. He also had a really cute cat, so I was into it. And we met on a park, and like we went on a date, and I think we went on 2 dates maybe. And he was like really cool and normal and nice. And honestly, I had been shut in my apartment by myself for about 4 months. So my radar for what was cool, normal, and nice was a little bit off. I think we can all agree, is a little bit off. So I remember on our like first or second date, we were kind of joking around about exes or something. And he had mentioned that last girl that he dated had become like a bit of a stalker. And I was like, ooh, that doesn't sound great. And we kind of laughed about it. And he was like, yeah, she just like really intense and like really dug through all my stuff and like found out where my parents lived. I was like, oh damn, that's creepy. Little did I know. Anyway, so we go out, I think on 2 more dates or something. And I'm talking to my mom late at night. And she used to call me late at night during the pandemic because I lived by myself. And I think she was pretty certain I was going to pass away and die in my apartment and no one would find me until the smell started to get really bad circa New York. So again, we would chat like later at night during the pandemic. And it's pretty late and she's like, well, this guy is pretty cute. I mean, she didn't really care about him, but once she found out he had a cat that he really loved, she was like, signed, sealed, delivered, baby. Cat boy, bring him to me. So she's like, send me some pictures of him. Fair, girl. I should have already had him ready. But unfortunately, once you like exchange numbers with someone on a dating app, sometimes you can just like unmatch with them or delete them, or I don't know what happened, but basically I couldn't find his like profile on the dating app anymore. So I was like, the only thing I got is Instagram. So I go to Instagram and this dude is like a typical Colorado bro. Like he loves skiing and mountain biking and rock climbing and blah, blah, blah. So every picture of him is like full ski mask, full hat, just like shredding, or rock climbing and it's like just his back, or he's skateboarding and like you really can't see anything of his face. So I have to kind of scroll a lot on Instagram to find pictures of his actual face. But even the pictures of his face are in the context of like a group. Name a more poorly run business than a man's Instagram. I said it. Anyway, so I find some group photos, but I'm like, she's not gonna know which dude out of all these dude bros that he is. So I do her the solid of I screenshot the Instagram post and I zoom in quite a lot to capture just his face so that she'll know, you know, like which one he is. And I do this for like 2 or 3 photos. So I'm talking to my mom, I have it on speakerphone and I'm like, oh, I'll just send these to her really quick. If you know where this is going, you know where this is going. I send them to her and I'm still talking to my mom. She's like, I think after like a couple minutes, she's like, well, I never got it. Send me the pictures. And I swear to God, my whole body froze in a state of panic that I don't think that I'd ever been in before and hopefully will never be in again. Everything in me was like screaming, crying, throwing up, vomiting, I'm going to die, deceased. Because I had also been texting this man previously to talking to my mom on the phone. And so their names were right next to each other in my little text message thread. So I click on his name and I'm like, sweet Jesus, Bree, tell me you did it. And I have sent 3 zoomed and cropped Instagram pictures of this man to this man. The man who said that his last girl that he dated was a bit of a stalker. You have to understand, I had to scroll so back far in his Instagram archives to find pictures of his actual face that these pictures are like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old, 3 or 4 years deep in the feed. I literally chuck my phone across the room as if it has become the hottest object on earth. My mom is cackling hysterically on the other line and I'm like, I have to go, I have to go. I was like, I can never touch my phone again. People are sometimes like, I liked one of his old Instagram posts. Tee, bitch, get real with yourself. I stalked the shit out of him, zoomed and cropped his own face out of his own Instagram post and then sent those 3-year-old photos to him in a text message sans context. Get real with me about liking one Instagram post. The trauma I felt, I was like, I have to change my name. I need to move. I remember I needed an alarm to wake up the next day and I could not look at my phone. That's how mortified I was. I was certain that like a SWAT team was gonna bust down my door because this man was gonna have called them in. And you know what? Good on you, sir. You're right. I committed crimes and I deserve punishment. Eventually, I had to meet my friend for lunch. I had no idea where we're going. So I like have to look at the phone. And I see a text message from him and I think, oh God, it's all over. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life, and as I deserve. I call my friend. I tell her that I cannot look at this text message. She's kind of walking me through it. I look at the text message. What does it say? What does it say after I basically spent a night in the ER of stress, freaking out about what this man's reaction is going to be to my absolute unprecedentedly bad behavior? He said, LOL. You're telling me I lost 7 years of my life right before my eyes, only for this man to say LOL? After that LOL, I think we texted a bit more and then mutually ghosted each other, and respect to you and yours, sir, it was more than I deserved. It was more than I deserved. So that was story time. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back to the normal girly guys, our normal pop culture hot takes in absolutely no time, back to regularly scheduled programming. I just want to take a moment to offer everyone a bit of humorous respite, a bit of my own humiliation for your consumption and enjoyment. If you have super embarrassing stories, drop them below. Solidarity, baby girls, that's where it's at. Other than that, see you next week.